Welcome back again. If you have just joined us, we welcome you and we hope that you are still fired up with Maketi's confidence in there. And as we're going on with the last segment of our show, we are now in our studios moving in with in the morning. We are joined now by Dr. Lehlohonolo Mambona, who is a business transformation consultant. Of course, Doctor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And please do tell our viewers a little bit of yourself. You've got such a very huge profile. I don't even know where to start. So I think it's best if you actually give it yourself.
Sure. I started as a marketer many years ago, working for an FMCG company. And then later on, obviously, I joined the national broadcaster, also working in the commercial enterprises environment.
Yes.
So I've got immense, experience in that. I'm a chartered marketer. And also I did an MBA in marketing. So with the national broadcaster, I was also handling their 35 brands.
Yes.
So creating innovations and all those sort of things.
Yes.
But now of recent, I'm focusing really on business transformation and economic transformation, and also focusing on what we call financialization, because we know that the world today is driven by debt. Debt, it's fine, but when it's saturated within the economic, system, it becomes problematic, So I'm the person who actually devises some framework and systems of how to deal with a debt-saturated environment. For instance, in South Africa, now recently, I think we've won another debt sort of,
4+ billion.
One is to ask yourself that, truly speaking, for how long are we going to be victims of financial expropriation?
Yes.
Because the most important thing, it's a government who's able to balance the two, revenue optimization and debt minimization. So it's important for the government to have a clear-cut strategy how to maximize their revenue. So, okay, which economic entities can you use? You've got your SARB, you've got your National Treasury, you've got your SARS. Those are the key engines of power that you need to assemble in making sure that you devise strategies of maximizing revenue that will come to the country. Forget about running, to the investment environment seeking debt. That won't help. Because right now, if you also don't have a strategy of how to minimize debt, you'll always go back to them. I'll give you an example. In a debt, you have your capital responsibility that you need to pay. You have your interest. So each one of them requires a different strategy. One would say to the government right now, show me your interest reduction strategy. Show me your capital reduction strategy. Show me your revenue maximization strategy. And if those things are absent, you can be readily assured that the government will always be indebted in this endemic systemic debt. Because at the end of the day, they don't have the ability of understanding in terms of financialization theory. What is it that they need to do? For them, this is the quickest route of getting out of problems. Yet people, the next generations, will always be suffocated by this challenge of debt. So I devise clear-cut means, because I'm using this as a practical example, one who was saturated in many, many massive millions of debts.
Yes.
But that taught me, in fact, that actually even made me to go and seek a doctorate in financialization, in business finances and all those sort of things. Because I wanted to understand how the banking system, how the global financial system was working.
Yes.
Because I had an institutional debt which was massive in millions. I had private debt. But I sat down and taught myself how to do those. So those principles can also be applied when you deal with sovereign debt, when you deal with individual debt. For instance, now, the debt, as you know, probably is about 3 point something trillion. But it's not going to be reduced unless you have a clear-cut plan as to how you can actually minimize that. So I'm the one who can actually provide solutions, provide systems, given the practical experience that I've accumulated over the years of how to deal with that, not theoretically, but practically, making sure that progressively your debt can be reduced.
We need that debt gap, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can take it down to, I'm sorry there is this, and I can take it down to even like buying a simple thing, or rather not even a simple thing, like a car, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
When you go to a car dealership, this is the price of a car, but then if you take, finance, people are not aware that, it's even more expensive when you take it, through finance, because now you're not only paying for the price of a car, but you also now paying, the interest. But then how can people, not go into debt so much? What would you advise, the people to say, yes, you do need finance, but then these are the implications, that you're going to be dealing with after?
Look, the easiest way is to downgrade your lifestyle, which you are afraid of doing that. I'm sorry, I have to speak about my experience, because that's what I did.
Yes.
Having lost all the revenues that I had, in business and everything, and all the things that gave me revenue, I said to myself, reality. I'm stuck with reality. What do you have to do, gap? I said, no, you have to downgrade. Move away from Saxon World. Go back to Soweto, to phase 3. Go and sit there, because the bills are low, that house, you don't owe it, and all those sort of things. Downgrade all the 4x4s that you once had, all those things. You have to be practical. It starts inside your bedroom with your partner to say, these other communities, I've learned a lot. When they fall, immediately they downgrade everything. But in 3 years, they are back where they were, because they are realistic with the situation that they are facing. So it's no use trying to pay high interest rates, high capital for cars that you cannot afford. You just have to level your expenses and face the lifestyle that you are now exposed to, and be realistic. If you once shopped at these high-end, supermarkets, there are other low-end supermarkets that you need to go to. If people laugh. I was laughed all over the place. I lost everything. I lost family, I lost everything. But I told myself, I'm going to rise. I'm going to restore myself. I'm going to learn about this thing. I'm going to get a PhD. I'm going to teach in this thing, and I'm going to apply this thing. So you have to be realistic. Do not live an unauthentic life.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We fake it, but we don't make it. We are not really with ourselves. So be real. And what's the use of...
Yeah.
Sorry
about that, because I'm also just quite very worried about time. There's quite very important question I need to ask you. That you were with the public broadcaster.
Yes.
With all this knowledge and the information that you have, how come did the SABC still goes bankrupt with people like yourselves on board?
No, not when we were there. Not when we were there. No, not when we were there. Yes, there was a struggle, but at the end of the day, not to this extent, you know. For instance, when we were there, really, there was a fair, rational revenue maximization on all sides, because I left there in 2011, and the situation was far different from what it is right now at the end of the day. But let me give you a quick analysis of the public broadcaster. The public broadcaster, to be honest, does not need to be there, because where it is managing unnecessary expenditure. In a digital world that we are living in the media world, you don't need 40th floor. You don't need huge buildings, because everything is now can be used either by radio or by television. There's multi-purposed digital instruments that you can use. So you don't need capacity of property, because what do you do with that capacity?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that you need to do. Where are the big numbers in maintaining this mega corporation? So you go to those big numbers and you say, what, we don't need this, we need this. So for instance, you'll find that the national broadcaster only needs a small place from which it can actually operate, to make sure that it becomes realistic with the expenditure that it must incur. Because that building was built when there was a state corporation which was mandated to offer multiple of media platforms. And things have changed. The paradigm was in the 40s. But truly, those needs are no longer necessary. The assets that now they are maintaining, they have to maintain, are no longer necessary because things have changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Another area of my focus, obviously, is to say, how can we help with the transformation of the economy?
Yes.
The economy is over congested in key strategic areas. What is it can we do to make sure that there are more players? I'll give you an example. There are areas that we can actually identify. For instance, in mining, where we say people can be given licenses to go and secure the raw material, process it, beneficiate it, and localize it. In other words, look for markets inside the country and look for markets outside the country. That you can do for agriculture, you can do for mining. The extraction of raw materials can now be given to independent entities who must play in that space. Because transformation which is located within BEE, it's not transformation. It's the sustenance and the maintenance of the status quo. If you talk about ESD, you are not transforming. BEE, we are not transforming, we are maintaining. So you need to fundamentally change by showing a planned implementation strategy. What is it that you are talking about?
Yes, while we are still on that, I mean, every year we see world leaders attending the World Economic Forum in Davos. Every year.
Yes.
A lot of money is being spent and stuff like that. Is that even necessary?
Let me tell you, that is not about transforming the global economy. That is about entrenching the status quo. So that, and then I'll give an example. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say this. In Africa, if you look at the dollar billionaires, African, you only find them in places like Nigeria, like Kenya, blah, blah, blah. In South Africa, you've got only $1 billionaire after 25 years. Why is it so? Why is it so? And the rest, $1 billion billionaires in South Africa are all whites. It is because you have this instrument that is called BEE that does not flatten the environment and exploit the environment. You know, I always say, you need a central bank which will always be worried because the economy is red hot. You know, when the economy is red hot, the central bank must intervene and make sure that it's cooling down. Now in South Africa, they've been, I think, sleeping because they are not challenged.
Yeah.
There's no activity.
Talking about South Africa sleeping there, Doc, we recently acquired more than $4 billion that were being borrowed by the IMF.
Yes.
Obviously, South Africa is sinking. Do you really think it's a good idea that we have all these millions? I mean, we just blown 500 billion rand, so we need more money. Yeah.
Look, when you give people such a lot of money who are not showing an inclination and demonstrating the ability of using what they have. We have massive opportunities in terms of resources. We have resources in PIC, we have resources all over the place that we can manage and make sure that we don't get debt outside the country. So we don't need this debt that we are going to acquire, because at the end of the day, unless, you see, if this debt was coming, but it's managed differently. I'll give an example. You involve the Auditor General, you involve the National Treasury. You say to them, control the deployment of these resources. I can tell you now, those resources can be used effectively. But for me, a government that has not mastered the art of creating revenue, it's not in the game yet, because it is always a victim of financial expropriation by the Machiavellian systems of financial institutions, financial elites, and the global economic system. Africa as a continent does not need the dirt that it has. Yes, debt, you need it just to make sure that there's activity in the economy, but not to the extent that Africa has got its debt or is indebted.
A lot of young people nowadays, they obviously maybe find themselves in these debts that Palisa was talking about earlier, you know, having to get this and get that and keep the status quo, of course. What is it, or what books can these young people read, or who could they listen to? Because sometimes we listen to wrong people. I started listening to Professor Lumumba. I'm addicted to that guy. I just can't stop listening to him. So who and what can young people, you know, put their focus on in order to align their lifestyle financially?
I always call it, you know, cosmetic poverty that we actually, you know, get dragged into, you know, because we want to look also like we've made it, we've come out, you know, but then at the end of the day, we end up, you know, being in debt. And, you know, with our celebrities these days, that's why they end up writing about them to say, hey, now she's down and out and all. How can they avoid such debt?
You know, I think it's time we look at the mirror as African and say, truly speaking, we are not in control. We don't have our own global agenda in terms of how do we ensure that we become economically independent. There is no powerful, good role models. They are not enough so that these youth can actually follow and imitate, because all of us, we are in a situation that we are eager to demonstrate that we have succeeded, yet in the true sense of that word, we haven't. For as long as we don't control the economic assets of a country, we are not in control. We can, you know, the media can exhibit a false lifestyle that is not real. Until we control the assets, we produce our own cars, we produce our own clothes, we produce our, you know, we produce everything as Africans, definitely, and be proud of what we are actually doing. Then we shall say we are in control of our own destiny. Right now, we are following those that are determining the agenda of how we should live. So that's what I can say to the youngsters. Please make sure that you are original in your thoughts. Create original products, innovations. Get into business. Don't do the mistakes of the past, whereby, and I'm sorry to say this, we've got people who've got so much experience sitting on 10, 15 boards. I'm saying those are the people who should be setting up independent establishment or independent enterprises. It's no use to say, you know what, I have a staff of 36,000. But hell what? That you should be doing in a company that is owned by us. Your experience in those many boards, you need to take those experiences and come and use them here to set up businesses that are going to have a voice, that are going to create an employment. Our life, I'm sorry, we are not in control. And as long as we are not in control, we will always create this false impression that we have arrived and we haven't. So this is what our youth should learn.
Oh, Doc, I'm hoping that we would have had more time with you, but we definitely should invite you back on the green couch so that we can speak a lot to young people. This is a very, very important part. But thank you so much for joining us. We have definitely run out of time. Without taking much of your time, we hope that you did enjoy your time with us. Let's go through the headlines and look into the stories that we have given you today. The presidential spokesperson, Kusela Diko, takes leaves of absence amidst the tender row, and the former police minister, Nathi Nhleko, has defended his decision to hire Leon Mbangwa, who was allegedly an illegal immigrant. And the city of Tshwane has ordered an urgent interdict against workers affiliated with the South African Municipal Workers Union. Malawian health experts call for more resources into COVID-19. And also we were having on our couch, on our green couch, we had Ketiwe Parati, and also we are now also was joined by Dr Lehlohonolo Mambona on the green couch. These are most of the stories that we had for you today, and please do not go away, as at 9:30 Violet Mokwela will be here with our Morning Express, and soon after that we are having our Kosa Nguni News being presented by Zola Gasholwana, and soon after that Palisa and Rorosang will be here with Midday Express. And when we come out of that, we've got Mahungu wa Chitonga with Kurula at 1 o'clock, and immediately after that we do have Social Trends at 2 o'clock with Katleho Mukapanyana with with Zola Gasholwana, and later on we are having Swahili News at 3 o'clock, and soon after that we do have, of course, it's a Tuesday today, we've got Tech Talk at 4 o'clock to 4:30, and soon after that Audrey Chimwanda will be here with you, giving you a Galaxy Prime and looking into Africa as a whole, as well as later on, of course, our production and our programming is continuing. Thank you so much for joining us. From myself and the rest of our Pan-African morning team, wish you all the best and a beautiful and productive day. Igama lami ke nguSisando nomusa kwaQwabi Khutho, intobazane yaphansi kwamhlabi yalingana umfule nguphuza ngiphuzukelekele inkomo zakithi ngayishiya zidla phansi emahlathini asekubandeni, kanti ke zona ziphuze ebhulweni umfulo ohamba ngeslow motion. Ngiyangithola ngithi kwesikwazibi isigodi la ngibuya khona. Ayiphinde futhi bonane kusasa, same time same place, right here on Pan African Morning. Palisa?
And as we are on that, we just like to say that Galaxy Universal Network is the only network that's got Swahili news, so keep supporting us, and of course all those who are from who speak Swahili, keep watching us. From me Palisa Mujuminyani ki di roba roba tlhakula tsa ga masedi amphela tse di reng dia roba dia sele nane ba ka thwala ngithi ngiyabonga imkhonto duma njengetulu umnyango vala vala ngamakhanza amatsotsa. From me Palisa Mujuminyani ke re sala ngisinhle.
Bye yo.
Can I